interesting month. Now, in the south, looking at New Orleans, let the good times roll here today in New Orleans with partly sunny skies, temperatures in the upper 60s. Always a beautiful tower cam here. I love this tower camera. But Mother Nature is trying to ruin it with some rain for your weekend fun. And rain means that people may have to cover up their pups during Saturday's Crew de Pooch parade in nearby Mandeville. We've got rain in the forecast. So, yeah, we've got more parades going on. And this weekend here, that's a fun event that always takes place here after the big Mardi Gras events. And we are going to have rain. It starts Friday and continues Friday night and continues through the day on Saturday. And temperatures are going to be a lot cooler than we've seen lately. Plus Saturday night, look at this. We're dropping down to 40. Are some big changes coming in. Unfortunately, rain coming in. Worst timing for your Saturday plans. We'll see it by the end of the day there on Friday here into South Texas. So today, moisture on the increase. We'll see that through the day, maybe up towards Corpus Christi by the end of the day. Tomorrow morning, we've got some rain heading our way into Houston, New Orleans. We see those showers come on in. You notice that the moisture comes up from the south, but at the same time, we've got that system to the north that's tracking east, and that'll draw up some moisture, bringing rain to Birmingham, to Atlanta. But a lot of the activity is going to be down here with the subtropical jet stream and the disturbance within it, and that brings us here a more decent chance of rain and heavy rain at that. Jacksonville, Tampa, Orlando. Saturday for you, Sunday, Fort Lauderdale, Miami, rain in your forecast here, and a couple of inches. We've got even spots with 2 to 3 inches possible across Central Florida, 2 to 3 inches possible across South Texas. You notice, though, to the north, like in Mississippi and up towards Oxford and Huntsville and Alabama, it's lighter amounts of rain there. That system is just not going to draw up all the moisture. That's going to be down here in Florida. Lucky you this weekend here in Florida. You're going to have some warm weather. In fact, we could see some record highs on Saturday in South Florida first before the clouds and rain come in. But then the rain is heavy at time. And again, several inches of rain may lead to flooding. Got to watch all of the events, including the Daytona 500 and everything that goes along with that. And we've got that rainfall heavy at times in South Florida on Sunday leading into early Monday morning. Then it all does push off the coast. But until then, you got to watch out for that risk of flash flooding, Alex.
All right. Looking soggy here, which, you know what I mean? It's good news. We need it. The problem is just we get too much too quickly, and then you get into the mudslide issues, the flood issues, that kind of thing.
And we're still not getting a lot of snow, which I'm going to talk about coming up, actually, more on that. Also, something else is missing along the Great Lakes this year, and that's ice there, Eddie.
We don't need to discuss anymore because that's the crux of it. It's like, what are you going to do differently?
Well, we're going to talk about that, though, actually. Here's some more discussion coming up. You can go to Threads, send us your comments, and share your pics and video with us using the hashtag YesTV.
All right. Well, you know, it was fun while
a big part of what we want to talk about. It's not just Lake Superior. It's all, even the smaller lakes across Minnesota, across the Great Lakes as a whole. We are running only a 4% current ice cover. And it's shocking when you see just how far below average we are. I mean, look at this. When that little January cold snap, we kind of made a little progress. It was like, okay, maybe we're going to get some ice in the Great Lakes. No, all of a sudden, it's been warm ever since, and we are so far below average when it comes to ice cover. So the Great Lakes are wide open for business, as they say, if there was enough cold air to come over and give us a lake effect event here. And all the other weather situations need to line up. But you see, you know, it's in the areas where it's a little bit more shallow, a little bit up here near Sault Ste. Marie. I mean, there's just really very limited ice cover. It's just unbelievable when you think about where we are right now. And you saw how far below average we are. And so this is part of the story, the fact that it's been so mild. We are running our warmest season for the winter to date in Minneapolis, Green Bay, Madison, Milwaukee, Alpena, Waterloo, and then everyone else is pretty much a top 5 except for St. Louis, the top 6. But we're up there in the upper echelon here of warmest winter temperatures to date. We've been our averages are running above freezing in most spots, which is kind of crazy to think how cold we should be in the overnights, dipping to the teens or to the single digits, and that just hasn't been happening. It's been the story across the entire northern tier, and this again a very classic El Nino situation where we run above average in the Midwest, but also this time in the Northeast and even the West we've been above average when it comes to temperatures, and that's a part of our story with our high snow levels that we've seen out there as well. And then looking ahead to getting towards the rest of February, we're likely to be above average across a lot of the country. In other spots, near average. Not many areas that are going to go below average. Now, we do have a little cold snap coming our way. We will see that as we get into this weekend for like 1 or 2 days. But, Alex, then we warm back up again. And it's not only that there's just no ice, there's hardly any snow either.
Yeah, it has really been a... Ooh, that's an interesting word. Wallop?
It sounds like it hurts.
Yes.
Maybe this doesn't hurt.
This may not.
Yeah, I don't think it's a wallop.
Yeah, no.
It's like a,
Double digits
it's
is
like a love
wallop.
pat, you know?
A love pat in
honor of Valentine's Day yesterday.
Yes.
Perfect. Well, we have another one on its heels, guys, and let's get to it because I think
we've got rain. And there might be a little rain on the south side of that system Greg was talking about, but we're talking about a different beast coming into Florida.
Yeah, it's going to be the Sunshine State no more. Let's just say that. You can see what we've got in Pensacola now. Earlier the day dry, but by the afternoon the rain starts to move in, and that essentially lingers through at least our Saturday before we start to get a bit of a break. But it chills down a bit.
And it chills down too. Yeah. It's been so warm for so long, and there's a lot going on this weekend down here on the Gulf Coast. Here, it's usually like this weekend. It's President's Day on Monday, long weekend. People come down, think about getting that spring fever, and look what comes in.
Just in time for it. And yeah, it gets a chance to add up. I mean, a pretty wide spread here in at least the peninsula of 1 to 2 inches, maybe some 2 to 3 on that kind of I-4 corridor, having to see that adding up.
All right, so what's going to happen first is that tomorrow we see the moisture returning, coming back to Texas first, and then spreading along the Gulf Coast into southern Louisiana and the Florida Panhandle.
Front drives on through, and that's going to be the main culprit for some of this wet weather that we see coming across the state here through the weekend, bringing us some of this rain. Some of this even lingers into the early part of next week.
Yeah, so Sunday into early Monday morning, you're going to see that risk of heavy rainfall, possible flash flooding, West Palm, Boca, Fort Lauderdale, all the way down through the Florida Keys.
All right, so here we are, starting off on your Friday where things will be mostly quiet, but then filling in, moving through the day on Saturday. The Panhandle dries out on Sunday, and then it takes most of Sunday for the peninsula to start to see things improve.
Yeah, oh gosh, at least most people don't have a full weekend washout, right? You get out a bit of half a day.
Exactly, you get a little bit.
And actually, the strength of hurricanes is complicated, and the impacts.
Yes.
that's so good.
Yes.
Hurricanes over water are so different than they are when they interact with land and then move inland.
And what makes a strong hurricane? Well, look, in recent years, we've had some really strong historic storms, and that's led some scientists to propose a change to the Saffir-Simpson scale, adding a Category 6 is what they proposed.
I know, right? Well, the new category would include tropical cyclones with sustained winds of, check this out, at least 192 miles per hour, an intensity that only 5 storms have surpassed since 2013.
So, how about we take a look at where we are currently with at least the current scale, and of course goes from 1 to 5. So that's where we've capped it, at least right now, and that 5 captures 157 and anything above that.
Category 5, and this goes back to 1970. Category 5 was thought that was the highest you needed because once you surpass 157 miles per hour, you're like, how can you even measure beyond that, right? I mean, everything gets flattened at about that anyway.
Yeah.
So that's where we have the absolute catastrophic damage.
What happens? What happens at 200?
But the very fact that you brought up the categorization of Idalia, we want accuracy in terms of how hurricanes are rated. And, we have, I think, a lot of interest in this because it makes you think, do we need a Category 6 just for the pure wind, analysis that goes on before, during, and after a hurricane? Well, a hurricane expert, former director of the National Hurricane Center, Dr. Rick Knabb, we asked him to share his thoughts on why the discussion has come about and if the suggestion is warranted. Well said. Well said.
Yeah.
I think the researchers looked a lot at the Western Pacific, where typhoons do get stronger. But when you just look at the Atlantic Basin and even include the East Pac in that, nothing really supersedes that.
No. Yeah. It seems to me unnecessary.
Exactly. You're trying to find a problem that's not there.
Yeah.
There haven't been that many to make up to add a whole category just for a few storms that happen to be outliers.
And the other thing that I think Rick was pointing, this doesn't seem like we need it.
No, I mean, we might need other things though, like how do we incorporate rainfall or surge into a category?
Right.
Do we need to do that? Right? I mean, these are always discussions that meteorologists have, and we're asking you actually to join the discussion today.
And the other, there's a whole can of worms that we could start. We need an hour long to talk about this, but I mean, how do you actually assess the intensity of a tropical cyclone over water? Good luck with that. We don't even know what it's like over land when they come in, namely Idalia.
Well, they're going to continue the conversation on Weather Underground today. Tune in at 1:40 Eastern for more on this. but still a decent amount of moisture within it. And so we're going to keep an eye on that and where it goes. Let me show you what we're dealing with today. By the way, San Francisco, we're getting a nice break for now. Enjoy that break because we got a lot of weather coming your way this weekend. But the rain is here with Medford looking at rain. Eugene, we've got some rain. Seattle, we've got mainly rain, maybe mixing in with some snow up there, but should be mainly rain. And maybe 1 to 2 inches still to come. Now, of rainfall in the Pacific Northwest. Now, that's a combination of everything. We've got this family of atmospheric rivers set to come in, and you see as that spreads down the coast, it's a lot. We've got 5 to 8 inches of rain in spots here, especially along the coast and especially in the upslope areas of the Sierra. 3 to 5 inches of rain, maybe even down into Los Angeles here. So get ready as we look ahead to the weekend. This is the setup over the Pacific. Nice and bright with the colors, right? Because there's a lot going on. We've got another stronger jet stream. Most importantly, that's going to help guide the more than sufficient amount of moisture to come in here and potentially bring in the risks of flooding. So that gets steered towards the west coast. Again, this family of systems set up and poised to come on in. By this weekend, we see one round, and then you notice there's another system hanging out there in the Pacific. So rounds of rain come in, snow, yes, in the mountain areas, but pretty high elevations. You saw that position of the jet stream over the Pacific. It's a tropical connection, and so it is generally warmer than what you would expect to get those snow levels to come all the way down. So we've got a lot of rain coming in that is going to bring the risk of flooding and flash flooding Saturday into Sunday morning. Fort Bragg, Santa Rosa here in California. The Bay Area is included in that. And a combination, too, is going to be some huge waves coming in Saturday to Sunday as we see that storm really bring that energy in from the ocean. So this is your Friday forecast. Clouds on the increase by Saturday. The rain is here, and we're watching the rain continue. Brief break maybe, but Sunday, Monday, it's back in again. Look at this here. So a very, very wet period coming our way starting on Saturday. And then there's a little break again, but look what's over the ocean. There is still more to come. There are some winter storm warnings that are up, but again, mainly at higher elevation spots when you look at the lack of cold air that we have yet again, Alex.
That has been the story, right? Well,
welcome back, everyone. We are here with you through the mid-morning hours to get you ready for all the big events in your neighborhood.
Weather Channel has you covered here from coast to coast.
Yeah, and let's talk about some of the snow that's been moving through parts of the Midwest. I mean, Minneapolis, right, came in as
6.9 inches
yesterday, and you know what? We've been dealing in the upper Midwest snow, even when it's warmer than average in winter.
True. That's true, and it wasn't that cold actually when the snow was coming down. It was just really an efficient snow maker at the time.
It just set up right over the city.
There.
Yeah,
it's kind of like when you get stuck under a thunderstorm, right? Not everybody gets them in town, but it's kind of the same thing. Just one portion of the storm. There you go. All right, so you're shoveling this morning. Some of you going late to work or school, perhaps in Minneapolis. But we've got more snow coming. Snow is done.
A lot, Wendy, like hurricane force gusts.
Right, to say the least.
Yeah.
Well, it's a beautiful day right now on the beach. We're taking you out to the conditions along the Gulf Coast in Pensacola, where it's going to be partly sunny today. Beautiful day actually ahead here. Enjoy it. Soak it in. Enjoy the nice times. The waves kind of gently rolling in. We've got rain coming in as we get towards the weekend. And in fact, you know, these clouds, these aren't the problem. We're going to have some high clouds coming in. You'll probably see them today. That's the incoming moisture that is going to be part of this system that makes its way in on Friday night, and again on Saturday. A pretty rainy stretch coming our way, and then it gets a little chillier. Temperatures drop down to 40 by the time we get to Saturday evening. So for today, it's mainly a dry day, really quite nice. Temps hitting upwards near 70 in Jackson. Look at Raleigh, we're in the upper 60s, but you see what's sneaking in across South Texas, a little bit of rain, and that starts to make its way up towards the Houston area by tomorrow. So here comes the rain there. Now, you know, Greg was talking about the system up to the north. It will bring a swath of snow. It also will have a little bit of rain on the south side of it. You'll see that into Little Rock, and it will help draw up some moisture. But really, they're two separate things. We got to keep an eye on the southern disturbance that's coming into the southern branch of the jet stream, the subtropical jet. That has all the moisture, and that's really what's going to be the rainmaker into the south and really hugging either the Gulf Coast or Florida as we get you into the weekend. So to start, we've got rain coming into Texas and 2 to 3 inches possible there. And then to finish for the weekend, we'll bring the rain into Florida, where we've got also areas that could get 2 to 3 inches of rainfall, pretty widespread 1 to 2. Now, by the time we get to the tail end of the weekend, we're going to watch this front kind of slowly move off. And unfortunately, you're going to finish the weekend on a pretty wet note down here into South Florida. We've got several inches of rain coming our way that may lead to flooding or flash flooding. Sunday to Monday, you got to keep an eye on southeast Florida. Again, because that front's going to be slow to move, a focus for showers and maybe some thunderstorms here. Really could just be plain old rain. We've got West Palm and down through Fort Lauderdale, Miami, all the way down even to the northern Keys, Key Largo, with that chance of flooding or flash flooding. And it plays out with rain on Friday and the Panhandle, including Pensacola, and that includes you on Saturday. You see how the rain really sets up from Tampa to Daytona. Orlando's in that mix on Saturday. Pretty wet day for you. Still dry, though, in South Florida, so I think you're going to squeak out a day on Saturday there in South Florida. But by the time we get to Sunday, here comes the rain. It sticks around through the day on Sunday, not really going away until we get through early Monday. And then Monday should be an okay day here as well. Alex.
All right. Well, westbound, we're continuing to add up and pile up some of this rain, which, I mean, at a point, it becomes almost too much. But, we got to store it up.
Yeah. I mean, it's been great for the reservoirs. The snowpack, though,
different story.
Is a different story, which we're going to talk a little bit more later in the show. Also, something is missing along the Great Lakes this year. It's ice.
I mean, already even right now, let's be honest.
I know.
It's a safe space. When we say Cat 1, people generally say, oh, it's just a Cat 1.
Right. I know. And they all have their different risks.
They do.
Yeah.
Because, again, this is only talking about the scale when it comes to wind.
Yeah.
There's so many other things that make up the...
I love how you said this is a safe space. It is. It is. So you should all feel like you can say whatever you need to say. But yeah, this is a conversation we'll continue having. And look at how low the ice cover is. Look at this. Now, the purple line is the current ice cover. We are all the way down here. This is the average up here. And we've been below average for pretty much the whole season. We started to make up for a little ground in mid-January when we had that cold snap, but look, that didn't last long, and we just got really warm again. And then the ice cover continued to decrease and just plummet, really, to these low levels. 4% of all the Great Lakes. We have, just the really shallow areas, is some of the bays. That's where we have the ice cover. Other than that, that's it. So the Great Lakes are open for business, as they say. If there was cold air and the right atmospheric conditions, you can still get lake effect here, and we would expect to see that. We just haven't had all the other features at play to get that. We've been running hot all winter long. Temps are their warmest to date. When you look at average temperatures, combining the high and the low, Minneapolis, Madison, Waterloo, Des Moines, Peoria, Cleveland, we're tied for second. I mean, it's everywhere across this region. Very mild. Even St. Louis, you've had a few cold days, but we're still sixth warmest winter to date. And that has been the trend into the Northeast as well, through the Ohio Valley, the Mid-Atlantic, and the West. There's not many spots that have been running a temperature that is either average or near or below. And that's mainly just in a few spots in the South, which you might expect because we've had a lot of rain. And that means more cloud cover. And that kind of keeps your temperatures down a little bit. Not that it's been super cold or anything. But you look at this trend and likely to be above average getting through the third week in February, the 20th through the 24th, expecting to be above average, very likely of that through the plains into the Midwest yet again, and yes, into spots in the Northeast. The other thing is we haven't had a lot of snow cover either, and snow can refrigerate the air and help it stay colder. So without that, it's been a challenge. Right now, thanks to this little clipper that we just had, we did get a new patch of snow from South Dakota into Minnesota, across Wisconsin, the UP of Michigan. You finally have some snow cover out there as well. We'll see how long this can stick around, Alex, because obviously we warm back up again.
That's been the story, right, for a lot of this winter.
Over the same areas, but parts of the Mid-Atlantic, New Jersey, the Midwest, we're going to see snow again in about a day, 24 hours.
Right, and not a nor'easter like we just saw the other day, but these kind of Clipper-esque systems, which are different. They typically move fast and don't have a ton of snow with them.
That's exactly right. This next system that's coming in, not the one we're looking at right now, but over, let's say, the next 24 to 36 hours, is going to have a different component to it than what we just dealt with on Tuesday, which brought all that snow to the Northeast. Jen, you're right. It's a very different character. Guys, thank you very much. Let's have a
plays out. Meanwhile, farther to the south, we don't have to worry about any snow issues, but it is going to be wet, and it's not coming at the best of times.
Nope, the weekend. And it's a busy weekend, too, because it's a holiday weekend, so a lot of you have got Monday off, and you're maybe taking a trip down to the beach, Pensacola. Rain on Saturday, rain on the drive down Friday night, and then it gets colder.
Yeah, it chills down quite a bit. I mean, we go from the 60s to the 30s. Now, today, you want to enjoy. I mean, this is a nice looking day here across the state. You got some mid 70s, upper 70s in the southern part, even 72 showing up in Tallahassee.
Yeah. So enjoy that because look what happens. Rain comes in, some of it heavy at times, especially over the Florida Peninsula. I mean, we got Daytona 500, pitchers and catchers. What else is happening?
Oh, that's right. Baseball getting ramped up as well. Yeah, so that's not going to be a fun time with the rain coming on down. And again, that's expected for the weekend. Thanks to this front, that's going to be on the move, driving towards the south and the east side. Ahead of it, we'll start to notice more moisture on the return.
Yes, all right. So it's really the subtropical jet and the influence of it is what gives us all the rain risk here. And by the time we get to the end of the weekend, this is Sunday, this front's going to slowly be moving through South Florida, and that's going to really focus the rain there.
All right, so there you see it. We'll see it adding up. Some of the rain could be enough to lead to some flooding. We'll have to keep an eye on this zone here, southeastern Florida, for the possibility of flash flooding.
All right, so to play it out and time it out, we've got rain Friday through the Panhandle. Saturday morning, you wake up, showers are starting to move into Tampa, Orlando. We've got rain through the day. It's not raining yet in Miami or Fort Lauderdale, but it comes in by Sunday.
Daytona.
Adding a Category 6?
Adding a Category 6. Well, the new category would include any tropical cyclones with sustained winds of at least 192 miles per hour, not 192.5.
No.
192.
Yes.
Yeah.
How about we look at the current scale,
Yes.
right? And that's what we have behind us. Of course, 1 through 5 starts at 1, goes to 5 is the highest right now, with 157 or greater being Category 5. So that would encompass 192 mile per hour winds, right?
And you know, when this scale was created back in 1970, it was thought that anything over 157 kind of belongs in the same category because it's catastrophic. Everything's demolished anyway. Do you need to have a category beyond that?
Well, these are the questions. Do you prepare differently for?
There's a word other than what would go beyond catastrophic?
Right. I mean, that would be a challenge as well. Plus, this is just the wind damage. There are other features when it comes to hurricanes. The flooding, the surge.
Yeah, and we know tropical storms can be very devastating, adding another layer of complexity.
Yes, all right, so this has a lot of scientists talking, and a hurricane expert and former director of the National Hurricane Center, Dr. Rick Knabb, we asked him to share his thoughts on why the discussion has come about and if the suggestion is warranted. Point.
Yes.
It is all about, you know, the reason for the scale and the reason for everything that we do is about helping you be prepared.
Absolutely. And, you know, by saying Category 6, you got to add more to it. Like, I can't just tell you it's Category 6. What does that really tell you?
Right.
Nothing.
Right.
I got to give you more what the impacts will be.
It takes away from some of the other threats and the
It
potential.
could be a distraction,
Yeah.
you know. The researchers who proposed this, we're looking mainly at storms, cyclones in the Western Pacific, where they have the ability to grow stronger anyway. The warmer water is deeper. I mean, there's lots of features out there. But when you look at the Atlantic Basin, we don't even see storms that get that strong.
Yeah.
So let's put aside all the other problems. Is there really a need to
Right.
set a new category for something that happens so infrequently? Yes, it theoretically can happen and has on occasion in the past. Don't need a new category for it.
But nothing, if we look at the history, has reached up to that level.
There's no, it's like you're creating a problem for a problem's not there.
Yeah, interesting. But it has gotten us talking, and we're asking you to join the discussion.
Along the coast,
Yeah.
farther inland, Charlie, was much more devastating. Again, it goes back to the hazards and the impacts. And they vary not only by a category of weather, but also where you are in relation to the coast.
Yes.
Well, that conversation, it continues today on Weather Underground. All you have to do is tune in at 1:40 Eastern. That's going to be for their interview with one of the climate scientists who proposed the idea to discuss what is fueling these stronger storms and why he says the current scale is not enough.
Very interesting. Going to stay tuned for that. You know, on the beach in North Carolina, it reminds me of the stuff we saw near Daytona last year in Florida. I mean, now, though, as we look at this forecast here, we are going to get more rain into those very areas in California that are threatened. So for now, today, it's rain to the Pacific Northwest, Washington, Oregon, rain in Medford, Eugene, Portland, Seattle. Maybe we mix in with a few flakes, but we're dry for now in San Francisco and the Bay Area. So enjoy this little break because we've got a lot coming in. Rainfall heavy at times, inches of rain. 5 to 8 inches of rain, especially along the coast and especially in some of those upslope areas in the Sierra. You see that happen down here too, making your way down towards the Santa Barbara area. But even in Los Angeles, we could be talking 1 to 2 or 3 inches of rainfall. It's a possibility with the amount of moisture that is coming in. Another atmospheric river or family of atmospheric rivers poised to come in. This is the strong jet stream energy that's out there that's going to guide all of this moisture into the area. And you see how its orientation points to coming from the tropical Pacific. So it's not coming down from the Gulf of Alaska. So this is going to be another warm series of atmospheric rivers that come our way, meaning that snow levels will be high, and that will help just exacerbate some of the potential flood issues there leading up into the mountains. I mean, that's why we've got all this rain right in here. Rainfall heavy at times. Snowfall will be heavy, but again, up at higher elevations. So watching in this forecast, rain coming in starting into Saturday to Sunday morning. That's where we're going to keep an eye on the Bay Area for potential flooding there. Then Sunday into Monday, spreading down the coast. So now we bring in Santa Barbara and perhaps into Los Angeles. Monday morning, you may again have a pretty nasty commute. We'll have to watch the exact timing of it. Rain for you into the Bay Area by the time we get into your Saturday. San Jose, we've got rain through the afternoon. Sacramento even. Brief break. Next one comes in, and that's bringing rain all the way down into Southern California. Another break. This is now midweek next week, and you can see more rain looming off the coast. There are some winter storm warnings that are out there here, but many more winter weather advisories in place than warnings. Alex.
All right, well, start your engines. The
storm is doing. Ding dong ditch. That's what the snowstorm is doing.
I'm guilty of doing that.
Surprise, surprise.
Welcome back, everyone. We are here with you through the mid-morning hours to get you ready for all the big events in your neighborhood.
That's right. The Weather Channel has you covered from coast to coast.
Well, I didn't do it last night when I was younger by a lot. Yeah, and we had that snow moving through parts of the Midwest, and it's a clipper system coming from Canada quickly, and that was limiting some of the snowfall rates. And there's another system coming into the Northeast that's going to bring some more snow there. But let's have a look real quick at Minneapolis.
Oh boy, Minneapolis. And you get an inch of rain more than your neighbor. That kind of thing can lead to that with snowfall, you know?
Hey, and you know, we've been talking about how warm it's been in Minneapolis and in other parts of the upper Midwest. And a reminder, heads up, you can still get quite a bit of snow even when it's warmer than average in winter.
Yes, yes. We saw that happen. Yeah. It wasn't that cold. It was like 33 when it was snowing. Yeah. I mean, 34. It was
cold enough.
Cold enough. Well, snow is still dominating. That wind has got to be insane. Now, we want to take you south on the southern side of all of that Dr. Purcell was talking about. We've got rain in the forecast and lots of it, especially coming our way in central Florida. Soak in the sunshine now because it's going to be a super soggy weekend in places like Orlando. I mean, you have some clouds out there right now, but we're still dry today. We're still dry tomorrow, actually. It's Saturday and Sunday, your weekend, that we got to keep an eye on in a big way. Rainfall comes in as we get through the later hours on Friday. Showers out there. Then by Friday night, it is rainy, and Saturday, it is rainy. Saturday night, we should be able to get some dry air in. We will see, though. I mean, Sunday's forecast, I think, is still tough, at least in the first part of the day. It's at least close to on the edge of getting that rainfall. For today, though, sunshine everywhere through the south and east. Look at the 70 in Little Rock, and we're nearly 70 in Raleigh, Atlanta, all looking great today. Enjoy the sunshine. Clouds on the increase in Houston. That's ahead of the moisture and the subtropical jet that's going to bring that here. We'll see that through South Texas. Some rain today in South Texas, but really tomorrow. Corpus Christi to Houston, see more of it. Spreads over to southern Louisiana, including around Lafayette and Baton Rouge, New Orleans. We get some rainfall. Friday's forecast, you actually see the system Greg was just talking about, and that kind of pulls up some moisture, like in Huntsville or Birmingham, Atlanta area. Gets a little rain on Saturday, but the bulk of everything is down here to the south, and that's really what we want to keep an eye on. Along the Gulf Coast, Destin, around Seaside, you've got rain on Saturday. Rain also on Saturday, spreading over here towards Jacksonville, Orlando, mentioned you. We've got more rain coming in throughout the day. Tampa, Clearwater, and then sinking south later in the day on Saturday into Sunday, where we've got some rain coming into Miami. So it's going to be adding up. 1 to 2 inches, pretty widespread, South Texas, across the Florida peninsula. And then there'll be these pockets of 2 to 3 inches of rainfall. How quickly does this front move off the coast here? That's what we're going to watch this weekend, because if it lingers too long, it is going to lead to some rain just lasting a little bit longer. And really too much of rain could cause some flash flooding here with that front in place to kind of focus the moisture. We've got Port St. Lucie, West Palm, Miami, all in an area that we could see potential flash flooding starting Sunday morning, continuing until Monday morning. Rainfall in Pensacola later in the day on Friday. Saturday's forecast, you see that rain move in here. Look at, mentioned Orlando, but also Daytona Beach. Watching your weather closely with everyone in town for the Daytona 500. Fort Myers and Naples, we get a lot of rainfall Sunday morning. You wake up to it. It's spreading all the way down and through the Florida Keys as we get through Sunday, continuing into early Monday, at least into southeastern Florida here. Alex.
Well, we had westbound where 2 people adding additional rainfall into some of these areas that are pretty soaked and soggy. The snowfall out there, again, kind of relegated to the higher terrain. That's been most of the winter.
It's been the theme of the winter for everyone is, mild. Well, speaking of, something is missing along the Great Lakes.
Really been some great, insightful ones coming on through. We appreciate it. So keep them coming. Head to Threads, share it with us, and we'll continue to highlight a few more as we head through the show.
I just said, I wonder if we should wait to give a hurricane its category until after it hits.
Kind of like
we do
with tornadoes. Another good.
What do you think about that?
I'd be down.
Record low ice coverage on the Great Lakes. 4.03% across all of the Great Lakes. That is it. And you look at where we should be at this point in the season. We should be about near the peak, right? Up here somewhere at about, 35%. But no, we're sitting way down here. And we came up in mid-January when we had that cold snap. We had about, 2 weeks of cold, really cold, polar cold. And then that was it. And temperatures have been warm ever since. And the ice coverage continued to diminish. We haven't seen the cold. It's really been a rough winter for anyone who likes winter or depends on winter here across the Great Lakes area. And we've got the only ice that we have is in some of these bays, and that's about it. I mean, other than that, it is very limited. Again, only 4% overall. The lakes are open for business, as they say, in terms of, if there was the right atmospheric conditions and you had the cold air coming over the Great Lakes, maybe you could get some lake effect snow, but that hasn't even really been happening. We've been running above average with those air temperatures. Our top warmest winter to date in Minneapolis, Green Bay, Madison, Milwaukee, Waterloo, number 2 in Des Moines. Cleveland, we're tied for 2nd. And then all the way down to St. Louis, we're still been running warm, tying for 6th. Everyone running a top 10 across this area. And Northeast, too. It's not the only spot. The Northeast has been well above average. Mid-Atlantic has been above average. Same thing in the West. And the only spots that have been either close to or below average is in the South. And not because it's been cold, per se, but because we've had a lot of clouds and rain. And that's just kept your temperatures down. We just haven't had a lot of warm days. But, I mean, other than that, it has not been a cold winter for anyone. And that trend continues. Looking at the outlook for February 20th to the 24th, likely to be above average. Alex, no sign of winter.
Exactly. Although, as we've said,
that's going to bring snow not to those same areas, maybe a bit farther south, but it's another fast-moving system in the jet stream.
Quickly moving,
Clippers.
Clipping on by.
I love it. So let's talk about that and how much snow the next one could bring a little farther.
So we'll see if they can get a little bit this time. Well, we will find missing the boat here in terms of the snow farther south, but we will get the rain adding up here.
Yeah, Friday night, Saturday. Oh, Pensacola, it's a holiday weekend. A lot of folks coming into town, maybe trying to get a little beach time, not swimming, but you were hoping for at least a walk on the beach. And first we have rain, then it gets chilly.
Right, so it's like you can't win. It's either going to be wet or cold.
Yeah.
Today, though.
Today's a good day.
Yeah, today's the day to be out. I mean, 60s and 70s, give it the sunshine out there. Really a beautiful Thursday.
Yes. Now, we'll see the rain come in starting throughout the day tomorrow. First into Texas, then moving into southern Louisiana, then Florida. We're talking mainly Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, it could add up. I mean, good chunk of the peninsula, widespread 1 to 2 inch totals, maybe some 2 to 3 before it's all said and done.
Yeah, so let's keep an eye on Texas first tomorrow. We'll see that rain moving up along the coast, Houston, Lafayette, Lake Charles. You'll have some rain coming in. And then through the weekend, we're going to watch the front move through. And, we do dry out. So Pensacola, it's not like you rain all weekend, just mainly Saturday.
Right. But again, chills down. So you may not want to be out there too much. But here we are. There's the forecast Friday through Monday with the rain. Enough that we could potentially see here. We'll have to watch out southeast part of the state Sunday into Monday for at least the possibility for some flash flooding.
Yes, and then so we time this out. This is Friday, 4 o'clock, and you saw that rain already pushing into the western Florida panhandle throughout the overnight and then into Saturday morning. We've got rain moving into places like Tampa, Daytona, Looks wet for you on Saturday, but look at, Miami's still doing okay on Saturday.
Yes, holding out.
That's your day.
Holding out. Sunday, not so great. And Sunday, 2 o'clock-ish, that's Daytona 500, right? We'll be smack dab in that rain. Drying out, though, by Monday. Maybe they run it on Monday?
They may run it Monday. For Simpson scale, adding a Category 6?
Adding a Category 6. Well, the new category would include any tropical cyclones with sustained winds of at least 192 miles per hour, not 192.5.
No.
192.
Yes.
Yeah.
How about we look at the current scale,
Yes.
right? And that's what we have behind us. Of course, 1 through 5 starts at 1, goes to 5 is the highest right now, with 157 or greater being Category 5. So that would encompass 192 mile per hour winds, right?
And when this scale was created back in 1970, it was thought that anything over 157 kind of belongs in the same category because it's catastrophic. Everything's demolished anyway. Do you need to have a category beyond that?
Well, these are the questions. Do you prepare differently for?
What is a word other than what would go beyond catastrophic?
Right. I mean, that would be a challenge as well. Plus, this is just the wind damage. There are other features when it comes to hurricanes. The flooding, the surge.
Yeah, and we know tropical storms can be very devastating, adding another layer of complexity.
Yes. All right. So this has a lot of scientists talking. And our hurricane expert and former director of the National Hurricane Center, Dr. Rick Knabb, we asked him to share his thoughts on why the discussion has come about and if the suggestion is warranted. Point.
Yes.
It is all about, the reason for the scale and the reason for everything that we do is about helping you be prepared.
Absolutely. And, by saying Category 6, you got to add more to it. Like, I can't just tell you it's Category 6. What does that really tell you?
Right.
Nothing.
Right.
I got to give you more what the impacts will be.
It takes away from some of the other threats and the
It
potential.
could be a distraction,
Yeah.
The researchers who proposed this, we're looking mainly at cyclones in the Western Pacific, where they have the ability to grow stronger anyway. The warmer water is deeper. I mean, there's lots of features out there. But when you look at the Atlantic Basin, we don't even see storms that get that strong.
Yeah.
So let's put aside all the other problems. Is there really a need to set a new category for something that happens so infrequently? Yes, it theoretically can happen and has on occasion in the past. Don't need a new category for it.
But nothing, we look at the history, has reached up to that level.
It's like you're creating a problem for a problem that's not there.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, interesting. But it has gotten us talking, and we're asking you to join the discussion.
Along the coast, farther inland, Charlie, was much more devastating. Again, it goes back to the hazards and the impacts, and they vary not only by a category of weather, but also where you are in relation to the coast.
Yes.
Well, that conversation, it continues today on Weather Underground. All you have to do is tune in at 1:40 Eastern. That's going to be for their interview with one of the climate scientists who proposed the idea to discuss what is fueling these stronger storms and why he says the current scale is not enough.
Very interesting. Going to stay tuned for that. On the beach in North Carolina. It reminds me of the stuff we saw near Daytona last year in Florida. I mean, now, though, as we look at this forecast here, we are going to get more rain into those very areas in California that are threatened. So for now, today, it's rain to the Pacific Northwest. Washington, Oregon, rain in Medford, Eugene, Portland, Seattle. Maybe we mix in with a few flakes. But we're dry for now in San Francisco and the Bay Area. So enjoy this little break because we've got a lot coming in. Rainfall heavy at times, inches of rain. 5 to 8 inches of rain, especially along the coast and especially in some of those upslope areas in the Sierra. You see that happen down here, too, making your way down towards the Santa Barbara area. But even in Los Angeles, we could be talking 1 to 2 or 3 inches of rainfall. It's a possibility with the amount of moisture that is coming in. Another atmospheric river or family of atmospheric rivers poised to come in. This is the strong jet stream energy that's out there that's going to guide all of this moisture into the area. And you see how its orientation points to coming from the tropical Pacific. So it's not coming down from the Gulf of Alaska. So this is going to be another warm series of atmospheric rivers that come our way, meaning that snow levels will be high, and that will help to exacerbate some of the potential flood issues there leading up into the mountains. I mean, that's why we've got all this rain right in here. Rainfall heavy at times. Snowfall will be heavy, but again, up at higher elevations. So watching in this forecast, rain coming in starting into Saturday to Sunday morning. That's where we're going to keep keep an eye on the Bay Area for potential flooding there. Then Sunday into Monday, spreading down the coast. So now we bring in Santa Barbara and perhaps into Los Angeles. Monday morning, you may again have a pretty nasty commute. We'll have to watch the exact timing of it. Rain for you into the Bay Area by the time we get into your Saturday. San Jose, we've got rain through the afternoon. Sacramento even. Brief break. Next one comes in, and that's bringing rain all the way down into Southern California. Another break. This is now midweek next week, and you can see more rain looming off the coast. There are some winter storm warnings that are out there here, but many more winter weather advisories in place than warnings. Alex.
All right, well, start your engines. The